Here's a progression of a 12 by 16 painting. This was a scene from Santa Fe, New Mexico. But on this one, I decided to put the sky down first. Usually I don't do that. Usually I put the darkest dark in first. I used cerulean blue hue, which is even a stronger chroma than the cerulean blue, the natural substance, rather than the hue itself, which is a man-made cerulean blue. So you might want to give it a shot. But the next step here is I did put my darkest dark in right here. So again, that sets the stage right off the bat. Nothing can be as dark as any of these darks here. So nothing can be as dark as any of these darks. So the next step was putting another set of dark in the big shapes. So I'm building these big, large, dark shapes. And that's very, very important to do, and not to look at all the, small little detail parts. So the third step or fourth step here is I was establishing some middle tones here and starting to put some of this in here too. I was still holding back putting any kind of detail in. So it's very important to look at these again, building big shapes. Look at this, it's a big shape. This is another big shape right here. Another continuing, with the big shape. So nothing, no detail, just continuing with the large shapes. And then I laid in, this is actually a fence right in here, but it doesn't look like a fence because I looked at it again as a large shape. This is again big, large shape. So that's the mindset that you have to be in, and not think about detail much at all. And then all of a sudden it looks a little bit more starting to resemble a little bit more uh, to the landscape. And I started going in, some detail stuff here with the fence along here. I put the shadow on the adobe building right there, and a little bit of a curve. See the little curve right there? And that really matters when the way a shadow falls is this explains the form, this small curve. So the house is not perfectly straight. I added some lights in right here and added a little bit of the snow value, here and there. Also, of course, I brought the sky down all the way, all the way down. I painted the snow in, I mean the sky, and then laid in this loose vegetation right there. Then finally, not finally, actually there's one more step, but I started adding the window in a little bit of the snow, and also I started adding a little bit more detail right in with the fence, which is kind of important at this point to start adding some of that stuff in. Uh, and I'm zooming in here. So these little things as they come up, 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 all this little things right up, that really breaks up the that so it's not a straight line across. So that's very, very important for you to think about when you're doing. Not just this has nothing to do with the fence, but having a rhythm. building a rhythm into a painting so it's not flat. Also started adding overlapping edges. This is overlapping. It's overlapping this back house here. So overlapping edges are important too. And I started adding the light onto the tree, as you can see here. So slowly building it up. And here was the final stage. So you can see the jump right here. I added all this kind of dried up leaves right here over the sky, and I let the sky dry. So the sky was dry when I did that. Um, you can also see that um, I added more of the snow right here, which kind of gave more of a character to the piece, and also the snow right in here. But uh, the big thing, and I'll go backwards here, you see the deconstruction of this piece as I'm going along, that what's happening is that large shapes, dark is dark, get some large shapes in there, a little bit more, again, a little bit more detail now, and then finally detailing it. But I left that detail way to the end, and all these things back here kind of abstract, and leave them like that. Don't over explain things. If you will, then there's a lot of bad things that can happen when you start over explaining things.